to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the War Room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And I am back. Once again, it is a Sunday afternoon, and I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And here I sit today all by myself, just a little bit bitter. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Todd, bitter? Todd's never bitter about anything. Well, complaining, folks, is one of my most favorite things to do. And as we have finished one year and we are now into another. We're into about the third week of January. I have once again not been invited and have not attended SHOT Show. And anyone who's listened to this podcast for a long time they're probably sitting back going, "Oh, here we go. Todd's going to rant about not attending SHOT Show once again." Well, I wanted to, and I still might rant just a little bit, but I'm kind of getting over it to a certain extent. I mean, I'd still like to attend SHOT Show, and I have, SHOT Show, for those of you who are new to this podcast or new to guns, at all. SHOT Show, what SHOT Show is it's an industry show held in Las Vegas, Nevada, and you can like get a table and have a booth there, I guess, but it's nice to just kind of go. But to go, you have to be invited by someone, or you have to sign up to be on a list to be invited to SHOT Show. And I have gone through that process, and I have never once. I've gone ahead and I've set it all up. I've answered all their questions, taken their questionnaires, and set everything up, and then you wait. Right, there's like a thing. That's like the pre-thing that you have to do to get on the list to then be invited. And I have never got invited. I think I've done that like 3 years in a row, and I've never got invited. And it got to a point where I just took to just bad talking SHOT Show. That's pretty much what I started doing. Just talking all kinds of crap on SHOT Show. And I haven't received an invite since. But I have a new friend. A guy that I met in Arizona, ETA Firearms, and I think he had a booth up there. Actually, he had a booth up there, I think. And so this year, and so I'm going to talk to him, and maybe I can get down there. Maybe I can get down there next year. Fingers crossed. Like, once I have made it to SHOT Show, in my mind, I have arrived. Is that just dumb? I mean, I would really like to go to SHOT Show. So we'll see. We'll see if Daniel can get me on there. But in the meanwhile, I may actually have Daniel try to get him on the podcast, and he can tell us what SHOT Show was like and the people that he met and the things that he got to experience and see down there. I know if you are on any kind of Facebook pages or Instagram pages or anything, you're probably just flooded with pictures out of SHOT Show. Everyone's got to take all their pictures and kind of brag, and those of us who can't attend, we just sit back here and I guess eat their leftovers. I don't know. What really irritates me is here we go. I'm ramping up, right? What really irritates me is I'm an instructor. I mean, I have a podcast. It's not, it's an okay listen to podcast. I think the people that listen to it and subscribe to it obviously like it. Now, I don't have 1 million followers by any means on Facebook. I don't have 1 million, subscribers to the podcast. I would like that. But I'm sure I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to that part. But, I don't get an invite to SHOT Show, but yet you got these MMA guys they have nothing to do with firearms. They get to go to SHOT Show. Occasionally you get these funny guys that are like, they make funny YouTube videos, not even about firearms. They're like political, and they get invited to SHOT Show. Really? You're going to SHOT Show? You have no business being there. I teach safety. I take time out of my schedule, if you pay me, obviously. I take time out of my schedule to further the Second Amendment and further responsible gun ownership in this country, in this state, in this country, right? we could say in the world, maybe I have that far enough of a reach. In the world, I push the Second Amendment. I push for responsible gun ownership and safety, and I don't get an invite to SHOT Show. But I don't know. One of these years I'll go. But let's talk about what I saw from SHOT Show. Now, I think being bitter, I think there's a few, there's probably a bunch of, well, I know there is. There's a bunch of Instagram pages and there's a bunch of Facebook feeds and stuff that I didn't look at because they were at SHOT Show, and it just infuriates me. But I did hear about, so I checked out on my own as well, that Holosun makes red dot optics for handguns, for rifles. They have actually come out with a new optic. Now, they kind of teased it at SHOT Show, and I don't know that it's out quite yet, but I think it will be in a few months. Usually, I think this stuff at SHOT Show usually is made available right around like May-ish, May, March, April, May, somewhere in there. But Holosun just came out with a new optic. Now, for those of you who follow the podcast, I am new to the whole red dot optics on my handguns, and I fought it for many, many, many years. And then I went ahead and put one on my carry gun, my HK VP9, and I absolutely love that gun. And I love the red dot on it. It's so much quicker. It's so much faster. Now, I still encourage everyone to use iron sights. There's no replacement for that skill. You have to know how to use your iron sights. Once you master that, then put a red dot on. And as I get older, I'm only about 45, and I've had perfect vision my entire life, and I've been, I won't say healthy, mostly healthy, right? But, I haven't had glasses. I don't have anything like that. All of a sudden, when I got into my, 44, 45, those check engine lights start coming on. I can still see my sights, and I can still shoot iron sights. But it's a lot easier and a lot quicker for me to pick up a red dot. And so I encourage you, if you don't have a red dot on your gun, go check that out. I'm not saying it's for you, but go check it out and look into it. I did, and I won't look back, right? But Holosun came out with a new red dot optics called the Holosun SCS. It's really cool. Let me kind of tell you about it here. I'm just kind of looking at an article that's put out by the Truth About Guns. So if you go online and look up the Truth About Guns and find their SHOT Show Range Day, the Holosun SCS red dot sight, you can kind of read this because I'm probably going to butcher it. So SCS stands for Solar Charging Sight, which is cool. The one that I have right now, it is solar charging as well. But this one is bigger and better. It says the Holosun SCS is entirely solar charged. The optic contains a battery that's entirely charged by the sun or ambient light. The battery comes fully charged from Holosun and will last 20,000 hours on a full charge. So, from what I can tell from the way that this is explained to me, is the battery charges somewhat slowly through the solar panel. This preserves the battery's lifelong term. It takes 7 days to fully charge the battery from a completely dead state. It comes fully charged, and you're using it, and when it's out in the sunlight or any kind of ambient light, this big group of solar panels actually kind of feeds that battery and keeps it all charged up. It's actually really cool. It's got a really big solar panel on it, okay? So, let me look here. I lost my train of thought here. I lost my place in the article. It says the optic only has a single button. Simple, single button. It turns the optic on and off. And obviously, with that good of a battery and that good of a solar charging system, you're just going to leave it on. If it's your carry gun, you're going to leave it on. Now, if you're plugging it in and just putting it in your safe, you just put it in a little safe pocket there. You're not going to use it. Obviously, shut it off, right? But if it's your carry gun, just leave the thing on. The single button turns the optic on and off, swaps reticles, and from the 2 MOA dot to the 32 MOA circle with a 2 MOA dot in the center of that circle. So you get to choose. That's kind of what they're famous for. You can choose through the different reticles and stuff that you like. And the intensity and the brightness of the reticle are determined by the ambient light, which is pretty cool. Let's see. Let me look here. It says, in a dark environment, the dot will be dim by automatic adjustment, and a bright white weapon light will wash the dot out. So that is what this author is kind of concerned about. He typically doesn't like red dots that automatically adjust their brightness because when you're using a weapon light, he says that they suck. So it says, though, that the Holosun SES utilizes multiple sensors that talk to each other and allows the dot to adjust to a weapon-mounted light without issue. He says that there are sensors, it doesn't go into detail right here, but there's sensors on the front, on the sides, and the back to gather the information that it needs to turn the brightness of the optic of the reticle, up or down, which is actually pretty cool. So this actually, from what I could see, it's going to be a little over $400, which it's a nice newer sight, and it's pretty sleek too. So it says, since it lacks battery buttons and like a place to actually put a battery, instead it's got that internal battery, it sits super low enough that you don't need suppressor height sights, which is a plus because you're saving a couple $100 right there, right? Couple $100 if you don't have to pony up for suppressor height sights. So what happens here is it's a lot less going on, so it's a lot thinner. It's a lot flusher fitting on the slide of your weapon. Also, it says another reason why it's so sleek and non-obtrusive is, says the footprint varies by weapon and matches the universal footprints used by systems like the Glock MOS. The optics footprint will match the gun with plans for the Glock MOS series, the S&W, so Smith & Wesson, CZ, Masada, and then plenty more in the future. So here's the thing. So if you want this and you don't have one of those guns when this comes out, hopefully, Holosun, you'd be really missing the boat if you didn't do this. Hopefully they've got your HK and your other a lot of your bigger names, right, out rather quickly, so anybody and everyone can purchase one for their gun, which is what I would like to do. If I could get my hands on one for my HK VP9, I would do it right now. So hopefully by springtime or May or whatever, when they release this, they have them released out for more, different makes, different models of guns, because it'd be really nice. And I think they'd be missing a good portion of their customer base if they were to do that. I mean, most everyone's got a Glock pistol. Well, not everyone, but most everyone's got a Glock pistol. And I've got one. I've been looking at putting a red dot on, but it's not my main gun. That's not my main gun. My main gun, which I like to shoot, is my VP9. It's all outfitted with the grip. It's all outfitted with the aftermarket trigger. Everything that I want is on that gun. It's my carry gun. So I had planned to buy one for my HK VP9. That would be my plan. And then take the one that's on my HK, the whole one that's on my HK, and put that old one onto my G19. But I'm not going to buy a brand new one and throw it onto my Glock. I'm just not going to do that. Glock's okay. I'm not that big of a fanboy. I don't like it that much. So just an interesting thing that I saw come out of SHOT Show is that new Holosun SCS optic. So I'm kind of excited about that. I get irritated, so I didn't look to see what else has come out of SHOT Show, but that's what I did see. So anything that's cool, I'm sure you guys maybe are probably screaming at your podcast device right now, going, "Man, you missed this. You didn't talk about that. You didn't say." Well, I didn't care to. if it's important, I'll find it eventually. So I'm just kind of waiting for that Holosun. Now, there was something else that I wanted to talk about. Let me look it up. I was asked on let me look it up here. I was asked on my radio show that I do, what gun? Me and the other host, my co-host, we were asked, what gun would we buy if money was no issue? What would we buy? What would we go do? Well, the typical answers are, well, maybe we wouldn't buy any firearms. I don't have a lot of firearms. I've discussed this. I don't have a lot of handguns. And honestly, I'm struggling right now I talked about buying the Smith & Wesson 10 mil, but I lost my interest. I don't know what I would buy. But there's one gun, and for the fact that I just like HK so much, and it's just kind of a unique little gun that I would love to find, and that would be an HK P7 PSP. So take a look, get on your phones, get online and look it up. The HK P7 PSP. It's a 9mm pistol, but it's commonly got the name of being a squeeze cocker. What it is it's got what looks like a grip safety, not on the back, but on the front. and you use it to caulk the gun or caulk the gun and enable the gun to fire. Pretty interesting. You got to have that depressed when you shoot. Why do I want that? Is that something I want to carry? No, it's not something I'd ever carry. I just wanted to want it. That is the one gun I think I just want to want. And I did some poking around us. These aren't guns that they make that are new anymore. They like quit making these. So you have to find a used one to buy. Well, much to my surprise, I found someone who knows a person who has access to 2 of them. And they're checking to see if, he thinks the guy wants to sell them. And they're checking to see if maybe I have access to one, if I could buy one, and what would it cost me. And so I'm pretty darn excited. I'd love to get my hands on one of these just to have, as just kind of a, just to have, right? Just because. So pretty excited. We'll see if I end up getting one. If I do, you guys will be the first to know. Trust me. What else we got here? Oh, I got to announce this. So, I do have a Patreon set up. Patriot Defense has a Patreon, and I always put the link down in the show notes if you want to sign up for that. That is only $5 a month, and you get to look at me, and you get to look at some educational, instructional videos that I make. And I appreciate the people that are signed up for it. It's $5 a month, man. You set that up, you forget about it. It's $5 a month, right? Don't buy coffee one day. Don't, whatever it might be, Don't buy that energy drink. You can do without the energy drink for just a little while. One a month. That's it. One a month. You can do without one a month. And sign up for this and get a little education in your lives. And the videos I'm getting better at making, but they're very educational. I just did one over the weekend of how to draw your firearm. Talks about how to draw from an OWB holster, talks about the 6-step draw and how to do that. And what I end up doing is I make the videos, I kind of build off of them and I put them all together, and it gives you things to practice, things to work with. And I want to go ahead and just call this out right now. For any of the Patreon members, or anyone, right? I tell you what I want people to send me videos. You can message me on Facebook under Patriot Defense. You can text it to me if you like. Area code 620-794-6223. I tell you what, I want videos. I want videos of you training. Maybe it's on the range. Maybe it's, it is wintertime. It's cold. Maybe it's cold where you live. I know it is here. Of you training in your house, in your garage, whatever. Give an unloaded, safe firearm. Send me videos of you practicing your draw. Send me videos of you dry firing. I want to encourage people. It's wintertime. Don't just put your guns away. Get out and train with them. And send me videos. Maybe you have questions. And I could help. Send me a video, show me. Or I just want to see videos. I just want to see videos of everyone training. Let's take the responsibility and take the time that we have. Usually it's a slow time for most people in the wintertime when it's cold out and you're not doing a whole lot on the weekends. Let's get some dry fire practice. Let's practice that draw. Let's do all kinds of stuff. Maybe you use your unloaded firearms to practice. Maybe you use your airsoft. Maybe you have an airsoft gun that you train with. A lot of people do. That would be absolutely fantastic. I would love to see that. Share the videos with me. Message me on Patriot Defense on Facebook. Text me, area code 620-794-6223. I would love to see all those videos. But why we're talking about Patreon, and this is why I talked about it as well, is I had a drawing that went on last year, and it ended at the end of the month, and I'm a few weeks behind. But if anyone that signed up for the $5 Patreon membership, last year, till the end of the year, got put into a drawing for a Front Sight Patriot membership. That thing's worth $5,000. It's a $5,000 Patriot membership at Front Sight in Pahrump, Nevada. You can go down there. There's a list of classes you can choose from, and you continually take them over and over and over again. So I have a video, and I will post that video up on Facebook. I did post it on Patreon for the Patreon members, but I'm going to post that video up on Facebook. And the winner was my wonderful little 8-year-old son came out, and he drew out the name for me. The winner was Quincy, and I am going to butcher this last name. Quincy Heinscheid. I don't know, Quincy. I know I saw on the Patreon app that Quincy has seen this. He knows that he has won, and I will be getting a hold of you really quick, Quincy, or really soon, Quincy, and we'll get this. I got the membership in my sweaty palm as we speak, and I'll go ahead and I just gotta have you do a few things and set up a little account for me, and then I will transfer it to you, and you can go out and enjoy that. But Quincy, that doesn't write you off from coming and taking classes here. Just because you can go take free classes at Frontsight now, that does not mean that you can't still come here and take classes as well. I was your first. I don't know if I was your first or not, but I was your first class, or one of your first, or you've taken a class here, right? You've taken a class here. You got to come back and see me again as well. I'll be jealous if you don't. So check it out. Congratulations to Quincy, and I'll get that all transferred over. So we talked a little bit just a few minutes ago about training, about winter training. And just because it is winter, that doesn't mean you just put all your guns away and you don't worry about it. That's not what we're going to do here. We're not going to just put your guns away and then not worry about training. You have to continually train, right? But if you can't make it out to the range because of ice, the snow, the mud, the cold, the whatever, like I said, there's lots of stuff you can do inside. You know, you can practice your reloads. You can practice, your mag reloads. You can practice drawing from the holster. You can practice dry fire. There's lots of different tools out there, and I know that you guys are probably tuning out right now, but there's lots and lots and lots of options out there. If you don't want to practice with your unloaded gun, you can get an airsoft gun. They're not 100% accurate, but it's better than nothing, right? You can draw this from a holster. You can fire at a paper target, whatever. You can buy an electronic. There's all kinds of electronic training aids. The one I really like is the Mantis X. I've got the first version of that. I think they got like 6 or 7 versions of that now. You can get that Mantis X and you can put it onto your handgun and you can use just a paper target in your house. It connects to an app on your phone, and I'm not getting any sort of kickbacks or sponsorships or anything from anybody. So when I recommend a product, when I tell you, what I think is cool, it's because I honestly use it and I like it and I think it's good. And so I like to throw that out there. And the Mantis X is really cool. It's a really cool tool. It connects to an app on your phone. You can actually game. If you know someone else who has that, you can game with them, go online. You can compete against them. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It really is. Or if you want to, this is wintertime. Shooting is down. Train with your gun. But now's the time, guys. If you want to, even customize any of your guns, maybe you want to put that new trigger in. Maybe you want to give it a stipple job, especially the trigger. Get that trigger put in and practice dry firing. Practice dry firing. So when it is nice, you can get out to the range. You will be set. You will be ready to go. If your gun's going to be down for a little while and you have to retrain on it, now is the time to do it, along with take advantage of this cold weather, take advantage of the time you have, and, clean your guns. I haven't cleaned mine yet. I went and bought a whole bunch of bottles of cleaning solvent because I know that I will need them because my guns are filthy. But now's the time. Go clean your guns, right? Don't be like Todd. Don't do as I say, not as I do. I missed my cleaning for last year. So now we're into now we're into January, so I have to make that up and get that done. But I tell you what, it's important. Get that training in, get that cleaning. You want to keep that muscle memory good. You want to keep creating those neural pathways. There's also different, I'm going to call them training aids that you can get that will help. You can work on your grip, right? You can get those little grip trainers. I know that it sounds funny, but a good, strong grip so that you can maintain control of that gun and mitigate the recoil from your firearm is very, very important. And a nice grip trainer, a grip squeezer, one that you can throw in your vehicle. You can use it when you're driving, is a good thing to have, right? And there's some other stuff too, and I'll be talk about that in another episode, but there's lots of stuff that you can do to make it so you can shoot better and easier, right? You can work on your hand-eye coordination. There's all kinds of stuff. It's not just about going out to the range and dumping, 150 rounds of ammo and then turning around and going home. There's a lot more to it than that. If if you're serious. If you're serious, there's a lot more to it than that. But real quick before I forget, because I always forget to call people out, right? There's a gentleman that just started listening to, I don't know if he just started listening to the podcast, but he contacted me. Now, if you are a podcast listener and you want to say hi, you want to reach out, you can call me, you can text me, you can message me. And you can just ask this gentleman, Tony. His name's Tony Edwards. He reached out to me. He's from Arizona, and he listens to the podcast, and he let me know how much he enjoys it, and he's introduced himself, and I've had quite the conversation with Tony over the last few days. And I like to contact you people. I like to get in touch with the listeners and talk to them, right? I'm nobody special, man. I just like to shoot, and I can kind of do it well, and I can teach it. And I tell you what, I really like talking with subscribers, talking with people who follow me on Facebook. I really enjoy that. And Tony went ahead and he messaged me on at the Patriot Defense Facebook page, and he let me know that he agrees with most stuff that I talk about, except for he disagrees with me on Glock. See, I think Tony's a big Glock guy, and that's cool, man. You do you know if you like to carry around a big ugly Glock, you go for it, man. Just do it. No, I'm just giving Tony a hard time. No, Glocks are good. As long as you're proficient with it and the gun performs flawlessly for you, that's all that really matters. And I do want to, and I might forget exactly how to spell this, but Tony has a day job, but he also just started making holsters. And I don't know how, I think pretty recent, just started making holsters. And he is on Instagram and he's on Facebook. And let me pull this up here because there you go, CivTech Holsters. So if you're on Facebook, it's under CivTech AZ for Arizona. So that's CivTechAZ Holsters. And he's on Instagram, CivTech Holsters on Instagram. Dang it, Tony, I had you all pulled up here. It's the same thing on Instagram, CivTech AZ. So there you go. Look him up, check him out. It looks like he makes some pretty slick holsters. I bet you Tony wouldn't mind if you found something you liked. I bet you could get a hold of him, message him on one of those social media sites, and I bet you he would maybe get you set up for holster, get set up for a holster. Probably ship it right to your house. Maybe I'm speaking out of line, but he's got a holster business, and I would imagine that's what he does. So keep that in mind if you need a holster, and check out Tony. So I struggle sometimes trying to figure out what to talk about on the podcast, right? Ooh, sorry, hit my table here. I do struggle sometimes. Let me get a drink here. Coming up for topics. I feel like I kill a lot of topics as far as when I say kill, as far as we cover them, we go over them, right? And sometimes in the summer, it's easier when I get a bunch of the guys in here, and we can do everything together. But I was looking around, and I get these magazines because I am a member of the USCCA, that's United States Concealed Carry Association. And part of that membership, I get their Concealed Carry magazine, which honestly, I've had these magazines piling up in here, and I get them and I throw them in the pile. I get them, I throw them in the pile. These are actually really good magazines. I didn't realize it until today. It's been like over a year, right? I've been getting these magazines. I opened it up today. I opened up the one I just got this last week. Just picked it up, I think, yesterday from the post office. It's a good magazine. I tell you what, it's a nice magazine. There's lots of information here. I probably should have opened it up earlier. But there's some stuff in here that caught my attention. And I'm going to talk about a couple of articles in here. I don't want to. Oh my gosh. Where's it at? I just lost my place. Here we go. So there are a couple articles in this. Now, this is the most recent issue. So it is the January 2022, Volume 19, Issue 1. And what's really cool about these, and I'm not going to recite all these, is they have a lot of stories in here. And USCCA is a good company, right? I don't ever sit down to take time to read, so I've never opened this magazine. And there's a lot of stuff. Let me tell you about this magazine really quick before I get into the article. One of the I thought was cool for all our female subscribers out there. Where's it at here? They have a whole section, back section of this magazine dedicated to women. Concealed carry for women. All the articles are written for women. There's ads in there that are, aimed toward women, but there is a ton of good information in there for a woman that's getting into concealed carry. It's pretty cool. There's an article in here. It's called "Top of Your Game: Fight It," in parentheses, as hard as you can. Now, this article is written by, where's it at? Does it say? Here you go, by Ed Combs, a gentleman by the name of Ed Combs. And Ed talks about he's in law enforcement, and he had to go and he had to take this training class. He went to the SIG Academy in New Hampshire and was taking a carbine course. And he was doing what he always did every year. And it is a class that he'd taken before. And he got down in some position on the ground where he had to use his rifle, and he couldn't make things happen. He couldn't make things happen because he was fighting what he calls it, in parentheses. And what he's calling it, he calls it, and it's him saying this, not me, he calls it desk fat. He said that at his job as law enforcement, he ends up a lot of the times nowadays spending a lot more time at his desk behind the computer. And so what happens if you're kind of stagnant and you don't get out and you don't experience any physical activity? Your body changes just a little bit, right? And you might get a little out of shape, get a little bit of a spare tire. We've all been there. As I'm older, it's harder and harder. I find that it's harder and harder to compete against that or fight against that. And he talks about how it's important that we need to fight against that as hard as we can. Now, you don't have to go out, you don't have to lift a bunch of weights every day, and you don't have to be, some great big Spartan warrior, super secret squirrel ninja, spy. You don't need to be that in shape, but it's good to stay active. It's good you want to be able to, defend yourself or defend your family or your loved ones if you have the opportunity to. If the opportunity arises that you have to, I guess. You don't want to be 3 minutes into an altercation and be huffing and puffing and just be out of breath and out of shape because bad things are going to happen, right? You want to be able to control that. You want to be able to control your breathing. So if you have to get to your firearm and use your firearm, that you can do that you have the aerobic energy, the aerobic control that you can settle your breathing down when it comes to taking that shot. It all works together. It all helps, right? You need to be able to run. You need to be able to move. You might have to carry your kids and run at the same time. You have no idea what you're going to encounter. Heaven forbid, God forbid you have to encounter anything. We hope you never do. But you may have to, and you have to be able to survive. And you need, we all go out and we buy the best equipment, right? You go out, sometimes you buy the best gun. You got you buy like a $600, $700, $800 gun. We go out and you buy a $100, $200 holster. You put a $400 optic on it. You stipple it. You put grips on it. You put a $300 custom trigger in there. We get our firearms all juiced up. And let's say you're the type of guy, you'll go out and you'll spend a bunch of money on ammo, which you should. You will go out, you will continually train with this gun. You'll pay for classes and time and all this stuff. Tell you what, that's all fine and dandy, but it shouldn't stop there. Invest in in yourself. Go walk around the block, go for a jog, try to, get a membership at a gym, stay in shape because it's all about staying in shape. It's easier to carry a gun. And as an instructor, I see this as well. It's much easier to fire a gun accurately, the better shape that you're in. It's just, if you're not, you can do it, but it's easier, right? It's easier. It's easier to draw your gun. It's easier to shoot your gun. It's easier to be aware of your body balance and shift your weight where you need to. You can move smoother. You can move slicker. And, we're all at different life situations. And I just encourage everyone to go out and not only go out and shoot your gun, but incorporate that kind of stuff into your training as well. We have to stay fit. We have to stay active. That, there's a movement out there, in our country, without getting too political, our country is crap right now. It's falling apart around us, right? And there may become a time, I know there's a handful, there's a group of us that, feel like we may have to rise up. We may have to, why is there a Second Amendment? It's so that we can stand up against a tyrannical government. Are we to that point now? No, but maybe close, right? Wherever you think. But, if you're the kind of person that by carrying a gun, by training, by thinking about that, you've declared yourself as one of the defenders, right? And if you're going to be one of the defenders, you need to be ready and responsible. You need to be prepared to step up to defend yourself, your loved ones, and maybe this nation possibly. God forbid that ever be necessary, but that may be something you have to do. And for that to be true rather than hope, we want you to be ready. We don't hope. I don't hope that you're ready. I want you to be ready. Then you need to be healthy, right? If you die, who's gonna protect your family and your loved ones, right? We need you to be healthy. We need you to be able. We need you to be able to jump in and go if needed, whether it be just to protect your loved ones in the Walmart parking lot or to protect this country. So that's something to think about. Just like I said, I won't harp on it. It seems like whenever I harp on this kind of stuff, the downloads for that particular show go down, and I don't know if I'm making people feel guilty or not, because that's not my intent. But I try to do a show like this once, maybe twice a year. So I'll jump off that soapbox and we will move on. So there was another article in here that I found rather interesting, rather educational. It's called On Targets, the Predator Project Part 1. And the writer of this article is Dorsey Kindler, okay? And what Dorsey did is he wanted to get some answers. He started looking at, find my page here. He started, looking at wanting to have answers of why are people attacked? How do bad guys think? He wanted to get in the minds of, what happens and why it happens. And so what he did is he created a different P.O. box, one that wasn't his home address. And I think he may have changed his name. And he sent out a questionnaire to people in prison. And he had some specific questions and he wanted their answers. And he gave them, some different answers to choose from, and then he gave them some write-in answers. I'm just, I don't want to get lost in this article, but some of these were pretty interesting. Some of, kind of what I thought, but it's a good reminder. Let me look here. Question number 1 he asked was, which of the following behaviors or attributes would make you more than likely to target a victim? And then he listed 23 specific behaviors that they had to choose from. And then I think they had a write-in section as well. So the 4 behaviors or attributes marked by more than 50% of respondents seem to indicate an appealing target and the right opportunity. Some of these answers were: the person is alone. The person is wearing an expensive watch, kind of flaunting stuff, right? The person is walking on a dark street. The person is flashing cash, okay? 3 behaviors or attributes that signal being unaware were selected by 30 to 50% of respondents, okay? Some more answers. The person has his or her attention on a phone screen, so they weren't practicing situational awareness. The person appears to be a tourist, not from the area, so they might appear disoriented, lost, something, right? They're out of their element. The person appears to be drunk, so that's just going to take advantage of someone who already isn't at 100%, okay? Let's see. Let me look here. Some more answers. The person is involved in illegal activity, so they're going to rip off their buddies who are already involved in illegal activity, because that person being involved in illegal activity is probably not going to call law enforcement, vice versa, right? The person has disrespected me, or the person has taken something of value from me or a loved one, okay? The behaviors least selected by respondents are: the person is elderly, the person is a child, the person has a child with them, the person is walking very quickly, the person makes eye contact with me, the person has a cane. And then some of the write-in answers were: the person was a known drug dealer, the person is known for having money, the person is using an ATM machine, or the person looks scared or non-combative. So they're going to take advantage of those they can take advantage of. And I I don't know. I kind of found it intriguing that some of the behaviors that were least selected is the person is a child. The person is, I guess, if the person is a child, they're probably not going to be carrying wads of cash on them. The person is elderly. Does that remind them of their parents or their grandma or their grandpa? I have no idea. The person makes eye contact with them. We talk about that in my class. Make eye contact. Let them know you're there. Let them know you know that they're there. And there's a good chance they'll probably leave you alone, or there's, ups the chance of them leaving you alone. Because, you're being astute, right? You're being astute and observant, and they don't like that. So let me look here. Question number 2. Which of the following scenarios would most likely cause you to end your robbery attempt? Okay. So, let's see. The most popular selection by far, 62%, was the person you are robbing has a gun. If you have a firearm, that could help you. That's the name of this program, right? That's the name of the game over here. The next most common selections, between 40 and 50%, included the person you are robbing screams or yells, makes noise, draws attention to the situation, especially in an area where there's other people, like a parking lot, right? The person you are robbing calls 911, okay? Some of the more popular write-in answers included when potential witnesses appear, when the police arrive on scene. Change the page here. There is a bystander involvement, and the victim appears to be trained and fights back. Fight back. That's gonna end. That could help end, right? They want to catch that person who's looking at their phone screen, the person who's not paying attention, the person who's not gonna fight back, right? If you're ready to fight back and you show that you're willing to, and you do so, it's probably going to end that encounter. Okay. So it says right here, the takeaway here is that muggers clearly prefer unarmed or untrained victims and are loath to draw a crowd or encounter the police. Okay, question number 3. If you decide to rob someone on the street, are you more concerned about getting caught by the police or by getting shot by your intended victim? 65% of the respondents said that they were more worried about getting caught, while 27% indicated that they were more worried about being shot by a victim. Okay. Questions 4 and 5 asked, if a man or woman you are trying to rob pulls a gun to defend himself or herself, do you believe he or she will use it? Increasingly, 75% of the respondents circled yes for both men and women. If they draw a gun, they probably intend to use it, or that's what they assume, right? So let's jump over here. One respondent put it, this is what they wrote in, I can tell how a person handles a firearm if he or she is trained. There you go. Do you know how to draw the firearm? That is of key importance. Just having that gun with you doesn't make you safe. You have to know how to use it. If you go to draw your firearm and you're fumbling with it, or you're looking for the safety, or that muscle memory is not there, you're not doing stuff right, you're bumbling with it, you do not look like you're trained. You don't look like you know what you're doing, and that's going to be noticed. That could be a problem. You need to be able to handle that firearm confidently, right? Without hesitation. Be able to draw it. You need to know how to use it, but you also need to look like you know how to use it and use it well. And they're going to tell, if you pick it up, you draw it by like 2 hands and you're fumbling with it, you don't even know if the dang thing is loaded, you don't know if it's got a safety, you can't grip it correctly, they're going to take notice, and that might not work in your favor. So, okay, where's this next question? Questions number 6 and 7 asked, would you try to disarm a man or a woman who pulls a gun on you in self-defense? 57% of the respondents circled yes for a man. A slight smaller number of respondents circled yes for a woman. So they will try to disarm you. So what does that mean? What does that mean? You need to learn how to hold on to your firearm, right? There's lots of more training out there than just shooting the gun. You need to know how to create distance, create space. You need to know how to retain that firearm to protect that firearm, okay? Question number 8 asked, have you ever taken a gun away from someone who was trying to defend himself or herself as you tried to rob him or her? 41% of the respondents circled yes, they have. In fact, typically I find, and I was talking to a law enforcement buddy of mine, that they say that in prison, they don't have guns. Well, They aren't supposed to have firearms in prison, but they work. They don't. What else they have to do when they're in prison? They practice these things, right? They can practice this kind of stuff. Says question number 9 asked, during a robbery attempt, would you be willing to kill or injure your intended victim if he or she does not comply? Half of the respondents said yes. A lot of times they'll get in these situations where they are trying to rob you or whatnot. And if you don't comply, then it sounds like over half of them, or just right at half of them, said they will hurt you. They will hurt you or they will kill you if they have to. One respondent, and this is kind of the bad guy mindset here. One respondent described this mindset with the following: if I feel like robbing someone, there's no turning back at that point. So if they feel like robbing you, and you don't, they may just get rid of you. You're the only witness type of person. They're desperate enough to rob you. They're desperate enough to just kill you or hurt you and take what they want from you. So the takeaway from those first 9 questions is that if you have a gun, you must be prepared to use it, and you must take proper measures to avoid being disarmed by your assailant. So that's stuff that you need to go out and train for, stuff that you need to learn. You can't, like I said, you can't just go get that permit, right? You can't just go get a gun and then go get your carry permit if you're required to in your state. Go get that carry permit and then think you're going to be safe. You have to continually shoot and continually train. Just buying a gun and having that permit doesn't magically mean that no one is going to mess with you. If you have a gun that you do not ever take out of the box, it's not going to help you. If you have a gun that you carry with you that you've never shot, that's not going to help you. You have to continually train. That's kind of the theme of almost every one of my shows, but today's show for sure. You have to continually train. Question number 10 asked, what is the one thing that makes someone most attractive for a mugging? And the author said he left a blank in the space for, a right and answer. Some of the more popular responses were: a person is a shit talker or has a bad attitude. The person has luggage and is waiting for a taxi. Okay. The person is cashing in chips at a casino. The person is white or Caucasian. There you go. Okay. By far, the most popular responses, as in question number 1, were wearing expensive clothing, flashing cash. I could tell they had other valuables that they're flashing around, and they were by themselves. They were alone. It was an opportunity, right? It was easier to pick you off by yourself and not in a crowd. Question number 11 asked, what is the number one deterrent that would make you avoid mugging a person? Or as one respondent put it, make me believe it's going to be too much work. Some of the more popular right-in answers included, there's a whole list of them here. We got the person exudes confidence. Person exudes confidence. They're there. They're aware of their surroundings, right? They exude confidence. The person obviously has a gun, okay? So that's good. Sometimes having a gun can help you a little bit, but if you're going to carry, you do need to know how to use it. The person has an aggressive-looking dog. So dogs are not a bad thing to have with you, especially at home, right? In your house, even the little yappy dogs can be, if they like to bark, they can be a good, early warning sign that someone's trying to get into your house. Okay, the person appears to be military because what? They may know their stuff. They may know what they're doing. They're probably going to be a fan of firearms, to possibly have one. The person is with other people, because then they're not attacking one person. They're attacking the group, right? And there's witnesses and all that stuff. The person is elderly, a woman and a child, so they will take advantage of those types of people as well. The person is near a police station. Okay, so the person is near a police station, so you're close to the police station. Why would you take advantage of them if they're near a police station? Okay, the person looks like he or she has nothing, so what? It doesn't matter at this point. There is no clear path of escape, so something to think about. Question 12, I think this is the last question. Question number 12 asked, what would you personally recommend people do to avoid being mugged? The results for this question will be, I don't have it. I'm going to have to let you guys know. So that was part 1. There's going to be, it looks like 2 more parts to this whole article. So I will wait for 2 months and I will get you guys that answer. I didn't read I didn't read that far ahead. So there you go. But just something to think about, right? Replay this podcast back. Listen to it. Is this you, right? Is this you? Is there something that you can change about your behavior, about your training? Maybe you have a gun and you don't train. Maybe you have a gun and you aren't confident with it. Well, it's time to go be confident with it. It's time to go learn how to be. It's time to make it work for you. If you bought it for protection, then know how to use it. If you bought it just to go shoot it at the range and you're not going to carry it, it is what it is. That's you. You do you. We're all in it for different reasons. But if you carry that gun, you need to know how to use it. So that's my spiel for today. That actually went a little longer than I thought. Now, I thank you all for listening to the Patriot Defense Podcast. I'm so blessed, all my subscribers. I appreciate you so much. I'm blessed by all my Patreon subscribers, my subscribers to my Patreon, and I hope you guys are enjoying those videos I'm putting out. Now, you can share this podcast with your family, with your friends on social media. I would appreciate it. That's one way to help the podcast out. And for just a measly $5 a month, you can sign up on Patreon, and that helps me out as well. It kind of helps pay for the bandwidth place that I used to subscribe to for the podcast. Pays for some odds and ends, that I need to get this podcast out to you. It's free to you, but it's not free to me. This all costs me a little bit of money, but I enjoy doing it, so I keep it up. You can find the podcast on Spotify, on Stitcher, on all this stuff. And once again, as my good friend, the Cajun Cowboy, says, if you don't like this podcast, you get your money. You get double your money back. Double your money back if you don't like this podcast. A little shout out to the Cajun Cowboy. So I'll follow in his tracks. Double your money back if you don't enjoy this podcast. That's a dang good deal. So anyhow, if you got any questions or comments, you can call me. You can text me, area code 620-794-6223. It's area code 620-794-6223. You can find me on social media under Patriot Defense. And again, send me your videos of you training, whether it's out on a range, whether it's in your garage with an unloaded gun, whether it's with a SIRT pistol, an airsoft gun, or however it is you train. Go ahead and maybe it's you, maybe you're dry firing and then you stop dry firing and you do a couple push-ups. I want to see that as well. I want to see your training videos. Let's share. Let's create a community. Let's create a Patriot Defense community. And we can get people out there training. We can encourage each other, help each other. That would be absolutely fantastic. I would much appreciate that. Until then, you guys all have a good, safe week, and I will see you back here next weekend. Thanks. Bye.